Welcome back to the Fallbar Baseball Show. It is probably the most exciting show of the year, maybe, because we are in opening week. The first game of the MLB season is on Wednesday night with the Yankees and the Giants, and then every other team plays Thursday, except for a few games. Their series starts on Friday, but by this weekend, all 30 teams will be going and the season will be started. So for baseball fans, it's super great. It's super exciting. I'm here as always with Ryan Fallman. Ryan, how's it going?
It's going great. The Lynx got an awesome week of wins this week with none other than a sweep of Center College this weekend, which is absolutely huge for us, for the two of us. And then, my our good old Red Sox and Mets will be playing on Thursday.
Mhm.
And that's super exciting. So it's kind of the best time of the year all around with
Yeah.
March Madness and the Masters and all that kind of stuff going on. So there's really nothing to complain about.
Yeah, it's an awesome time to be a sports fan, and it's an awesome time to be on a D3 baseball team that's 5-0 against top 10 teams in the country.
Yep.
So hopefully the rankings look good for us coming out tomorrow. We have our own rankings for today and predictions for the big leaguers. You might have seen on our Instagram and TikTok, we did a group power rankings where all five of us we ranked the big league teams 1 to 30, and then I averaged them out and then ranked the averages. We will reflect on that a little bit, but also Ryan and I have division standings, postseason standings, and records for all the teams. So that's what we're going to be focusing on is kind of weighing our predictions against each other. And without further ado, Ryan, we can really start wherever you want.
I say let's start in the American League East because that's
The
more
best
than
division
likely
in
both of
baseball.
our best divisions in terms of total win count.
That's what I
Um,
say.
and we can start with the Yankees, who I have in first.
I do too. Go ahead.
Um, my if we want to do it in order, my order goes Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles, Rays.
Mine too.
And for the Yankees, it's more of what they didn't change versus what they added. And we've talked about it on this show a couple times, how that kind of works, but kind of also doesn't. Um, they've got a great rotation, especially with guys starting to come back. They'll have Cole and Rodon in the rotation by pretty early in the year.
May or June, I think.
Right. And they'll have Freed, Schlittler, Weathers, who's looked fantastic this spring, and then one of the best bullpens in baseball. And then we know all their lineup. Grisham, Judge, Bellinger, those guys. They're gonna hit the ball well. They're gonna pitch the ball maybe better than they have recently. I have them at 90 wins.
I've got them at 91. The separator for them above the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, but especially the Red Sox, is they have the best hitter in the world.
Yep.
They have an MVP caliber player in Aaron Judge, and the Blue Jays have a MVP close caliber player in Vladdy, and the Red Sox maybe have one in Roman Anthony, but we haven't seen that yet. But the Yankees have the best hitter in the world, and they have question marks on the left side of their infield, and that's kind of it.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you have
basically it.
Ben Rice, probably a 3 WAR player this year. Jazz Chisholm, usually a 3 to 4 WAR player. And then Trent Grisham and Cody Bellinger in the outfield, two quality big leaguers. Obviously, Stanton is always a question, but the Yankees lineup is at the point where if they get nothing from Stanton, they're probably just as okay as if they get something from Stanton.
Yeah,
And
totally.
like you talked about the rotation, Weathers has looked good. Obviously, Cam Schlittler had a legacy run at the end of last season. So if he can continue that, then a healthy Yankees rotation is one of the best in baseball. So they're set up to be the favorite or one of the favorites in the American League again.
Yeah, totally. They are tied for my highest win count in the American League at 90.
Mhm.
And just below them, I have the Red Sox at 89. I thought what they did this offseason was very beneficial. I know they lost Bregman, but They added Sonny Gray, who is a pretty underrated arm and already seen as a good arm. I think he's pretty great. Hopefully, we get a full season of Roman Anthony and a full season of really all these guys in the lineup. Hopefully, we see a little bit more progress from Marcelo Mayer. And then the bullpen is also great. You've got Chapman, who was arguably the best reliever in baseball last year, and some guys still on the IL that may help the team out within the year. But yeah, got him at 89.
The Red Sox, I can speak a little bit more on the Red Sox following them every day. I have them at 90, second place. They are really buying into being the run prevention Red Sox
Yeah, I
because
forgot to mention Ranger too.
yeah, the pitching
Our
depth,
big decision.
the pitching depth with Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, and Sonny Gray. I was looking at the Fangraphs projections. They have three of the top 15 projected finishers in F4 this year for starting pitchers. Those three guys.
That's pretty good.
And then you have Brian Bayo, whose ERA was less than 3.5. Johan Oviedo, who maybe at worst is a five or a long reliever. And if he is the five, then you kind
That's great.
of get what you can get. And then the prospects is good too. The pitching depth is there, and starting pitching depth, especially late in the season, can bleed into the bullpen. That is already a strength. The worry for the Red Sox is can the lineup do enough? It's a team that's lost Rafael Devers and Alex Bregman in the recent years, and they're piecing together ways to replace production that you can't really guarantee yet. There are very impressive players on this team, like Roman Anthony, of course, who everyone is projecting to be one of the best players in baseball by this time next year. Wilson Contreras was acquired. Trevor Story is still there. He had a 2020 season last year. Can he hold off getting worse with his age? And then the outfield defense is the best in baseball by far.
Totally. Not even close.
They have a platinum glover, a two-time gold glover, and two very capable left fielders that will spend time DHing.
Yeah.
Um, the base running is pretty good, and the infield defense is an improvement from last year. So it might not be the hit bombs way of winning that we see, but Alex Cora doesn't care really. And if they can play their style and pitch well, then the offense will help them out enough to be at the top of the division.
Totally. And you get some added juice with Wilson Contreras, which is nice. I think Willie Abreu could even take a further leap forward
Mhm.
offensively this season based off what we just saw in the WBC. Um, and then Story was sneaky a pop guy as well. And when you have Jarren Duran as your projected DH because your outfield defense is that good,
Right.
that's kind of it's kind of ridiculous. Like it's actually gonna be no fly zone out there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Red Sox good.
Yeah. And one more note
Um,
on the Red Sox before we go to the Blue Jays, just because
yep,
it's something that I've been able to see. Caleb Durbin was the acquired third baseman in a trade from the Brewers, and Wilson Contreras, like you said, two righties that excel at pulling the ball in the air,
yeah,
which is a very strategic add from the Red Sox because they have that big wall that warrants a lot of short home runs or flyouts that turn into doubles off of it.
right, totally.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm rooting for him, but we can move on to a team that is just as good and last year was way better.
And that would be the Blue Jays. We don't really have to spend too much time here because
Mhm.
they look similar. They added Tyler Rogers, Dylan Cease, and on the offensive side, they got Kazuma Okamoto. That's kind of the majority of what they did in the offseason. Unfortunately, they're starting with a lot of pitching on the IL,
Mhm.
with that being Jose Barrios, Shane Bieber, Bowden Francis, and Trey Savage. So their pitching to start off the year is still good. It's Gosman, Cease, Eric Lauer, Cody Ponce, and Max Scherzer. So it's like kind of not as good as you get the further down that rotation, but once these guys come off the IL, that's not going to be an issue. And this team is going to be totally fine. come July. They're going to be World Series contenders again come the playoffs. I have them at 88 wins, one below the Red Sox. Um, but yeah, totally a playoff team in my eyes.
I have the Blue Jays at 87. I have them as a playoff team. There's a mix between high level juice and platoon chaos with this team.
Yep.
The high level juice is Vladdy Jr., of course. It was a surprise season from George Springer last year, which is really why I worry about this team. Worry is like, are they 85 wins or are they 90? I don't really worry, but who is it besides Vladdy? There's a chance that George Springer's OPS isn't over 750 this year. And there's a chance that Alejandro Kirk's isn't over 750.
Yeah.
And then your second best hitters, maybe it's Barger. Barger's pretty good. Maybe it's Clement, but over a full season, he's not really like a number two most feared guy in an option either, or number two most feared option. So I'm worried if the offense falls flat, but the defense is great. The the matchup analysis by John Schneider is great. And the rotation, like you said, it's a little shaky right now, but the injuries for these guys on the IL are not long term, and it will be totally fine. And they have enough skill to just gear up for the playoffs. And in the AL, especially, no matter who you're matched up with, beat anyone.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's, pretty. The one concern is the loss of Bo Bichette
Mm.
and what the offensive replacement is going to look like, as you talked about. Um, I think Jimenez will be fine enough, especially because his defense is so valuable.
I hope he's
Um,
great at defense.
but yeah, I don't think they really have anything to worry about. As you said, like the difference is 85 wins or 90 wins, and which one are we going to get out of this team? Um, but next on both of our lists is the Orioles, who I have at 85 wins. Um, they added Pete Alonso. So that was a huge offensive ad for them because they kind of needed a guy who fit that Anthony Santander role from a couple years ago, who was just putting balls out. They didn't really have the bona fide power guy in that was feared in that 3-4 hole. Um, they will have Samuel Basayo up. They will have Kobe Mayo up, Colton Cowser, Blaze Alexander, a lot of young guys, Dylan Beavers. The offense could be really, really good. Now, the concern with them was pitching last year, which they did touch on kind of.
A little
It's
bit.
still not great.
But it is
Trevor
better.
Rogers, Trevor Rogers was awesome last year. That was a huge surprise for them, which was great. They added Shane Baz, who is fine. And then they added guys like Bassett and um, they added Ryan Helsley in the bullpen. The pitching looks better, especially with Felix Bautista hopefully coming back. And Labrum, maybe not. Um,
Not for a while.
but they got Andrew Kittredge should be coming back. And then once Holiday, Westberg, and Kerstad get back from their injuries, they should be fine. Um, I have them at 85 wins. I think that's a pretty fair assumption based on what a kind of similar group did last year. Um, but I really think that this offense is potentially explosive enough with guys like Alonso, Henderson. If Rutschman gets back to old form, it could be great. But Sayo could be the next super explosive lefty bat. Um, if all of those guys play as well as they can, this could be the most explosive offense in the league. But if they kind of just fizzle out and just kind of are average, then we could see a pretty mediocre team here.
I have them at 81. The
Okay.
main reason I have them a little lower than you is because their defense stinks with the guys that are injured right now.
Yeah.
Jackson Holiday is good and Jordan Westberg is good, but the defense as it is positioned right now is basically below average everywhere
Yeah.
except for Gunnar Henderson.
And
And
Rushman. But yeah,
Yeah, and Rutschman's good too. And Tyler O'Neill, I kind of like. He hasn't been able to play more than half a season for
yeah,
as long as I can remember. The rotation has improved. I'm really rooting for Kyle Bradish because I think he has ace level stuff if he can throw enough innings and stay healthy. The back of the rotation just seems like 4 point something ERA guys,
yeah,
just like some innings
pretty much.
eaters, which kind of in comparison to the Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays pitching, it kind of puts them behind. But you're right that you can't deny that this is a very good offense. You don't get breaks in this lineup, especially if they're fully healthy and Westberg's batting seventh and Samuel Basallo's batting eighth, and he hits the ball as
Right.
hard as anyone. Like the Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso additions, fantastic for the offense, not great for the defense. I think they even each other out and things kind of end up pretty mid for them, but it'll be a improvement on what was a serious disappointment that they had last year.
Yeah, totally. The last team is the Rays. I have them at 67 wins.
I have
They're the
them
Rays. They're just not that great.
I have them at 76. This might be the biggest discrepancy actually.
Yeah, that's actually pretty big.
I have them as bad but not terrible because they have a couple good players and they have usually dependable pitching. We don't have to talk about it for too long, but that's just
Yeah, my
what I was
I
thinking.
mean, just to kind of glance over it, my big issue is the lack is once pretty much once you get past Junior Caminero in the lineup.
It's terrible.
You got Fraley in the four hole. Cedric Mullins was like an auto out last year, at least when he was playing for my team. And then the rest of these guys don't really hit the ball all that great. Carson Williams could be good. Simpson's obviously got speed, but um, that's kind of it. Rasmussen is a pretty good pitcher. If they get enough out of McClanahan, that would be awesome, but you can't trust that. And then outside of Garrett Clevenger and Griffin Jacks, the bullpen is pretty
Yeah.
like a
And
lot of guys I just haven't heard of here. So
maybe those two guys should get traded again.
yeah,
We can move on from the Rays after I tell you that their Fangraphs projected OPS. There are three guys that have OPSs that don't start with six. So
hmm.
that's 11 out of 14 or 10 out of 13 big league position players who are projected to be significantly below average.
Yeah,
All right, moving on.
yep. Let's go to our least favorite division. Actually, you know what? Should we go to National League?
No, let's do all the
If we're
AL.
on AL? Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do AL. Let's go to our least favorite division ever,
It
which
doesn't
is
have to
better
be
this
so
year.
bad.
It doesn't have to be so bad because the Royals are good. The Royals have snuck up on everyone. I have them at 88 wins.
Okay,
I think Michael Garcia is great. Bobby Wood Jr. is probably the third or fourth best player in baseball.
can confirm.
And Pasquantino is due for another good year. Salvi, if they can DH him or just split time with him and Carter Jensen, he's just always a good hitter. So he'll bring more value when he's not always behind the dish. The key for them is their rotation is great and they have so many young prospects or guys who are just now getting into the MLB who are projected to have a ton of success. Caglione hits the ball harder than anyone, and his stats last year are a complete fluke, and I'm pretty convinced of that. Carter Jensen also hits the ball super hard, also super good. Isaac Collins was in the Rookie of the Year race last year, and the Brewers decided to trade him over. God knows why. But um India is a solid piece and Isbell is a solid piece, but that's the entire lineup. I just went through every single player and had good things to say about seven of the nine. And then the rest of them were pretty solid filler guys. And then you get into the rotation with Cole Reagans and Michael Waka and Chris Bubich, Noah Cameron, and then Seth Lugo. And you're really looking at a really solid 1 through 5 with a good bullpen with Estavis, Urseg, Strom, and Schreiber.
Who is to say that the Royals can't be better than the Blue Jays?
It's true.
Who's
It's
to say that?
very
Who's to say
possible.
they can't be better than the Red Sox? They've
Yeah.
got they've got pitching depth. They've got good defensive players where it's important, and they've got the chance to pop for a lot of runs. It's the recipe that you want, and you just went through their whole team, so I don't really need to spend much time talking
Right.
about the guys you just talked about,
Yeah.
but it's really good. I have them one game below the Tigers
Okay.
at 85 and 84. I think the Tigers, with having the best pitcher on the planet and Framber Valdez, who isn't afraid to give up contact in a very big pitcher's park, I think that could help them out a lot. But I would not I would not be surprised if the Royals finish first in this division because if their young guys click and the pitchers click, then they're going to be hard to beat most of the time.
Yeah. And they just made their park a little bit more hitter friendly, is what I've heard. So that's good.
They have a new wall
I think they moved it in just a bit.
a little bit. Yeah, that's been a big park for a while.
Yeah, it's big. We'll talk. Kevin just kind of touched on the Tigers. I have them at 86 wins.
Okay, yeah. I have 85, 84.
Cool. Perfect. Same team as last year. And then you add Kevin McGonigal, who's one of the best prospects in baseball, and you add Framber Valdez.
And they have Justin Verlander back.
Yeah, which is sick. It's super cool.
The pitching is the rotation is, I mean, it's silly. Scooble Valdez, Jack Flaherty, and Justin Verlander.
It is
And
kind of silly.
Casey Mize, first overall pick. But it doesn't have to be bad, especially at the top. It's pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I don't love Jack Flaherty anymore, but Pitcher's Park, it might be okay. Um, I think going off of it right now, the Tigers might have a little more complete of an offensive showing than the Royals because Gleyber Torres, you kind of know what you're going to get. Kerry Carpenter crushes righties. Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, they're going to hit a whole lot of home runs, but they're going to strike out a lot. So this is a team that's like they can will their way to a good record, but if they don't clean up, like they're gonna have to win in the playoffs 2-1 with two guys hitting solo home runs because they're not really gonna string much together, I don't think, unless Kevin McGonigal can become that guy like that. And I'm
yeah,
excited for him, but I I totally can see anyone choosing the Royals above the Tigers, and I can understand like I did it by one game, I can understand vice versa at this point.
totally. The
The
next
rest of
team
this,
I have is the
me
Guardians.
too. The rest of this division can go pretty fast.
Yeah, the Guardians, I have them at 83. Just another one of those teams that running it back. Same
Yeah,
guys. Jose Ramirez is, of course, amazing. They got Manzardo, they got Stephen Kwan. They brought up Chase DeLauder. He could be pretty exciting. They've got Reese Hoskins there, which is interesting.
I didn't know that
Um,
actually.
the pitching will be fine. It will be a very Cleveland Guardians team where they're kind of gonna win you, or they're gonna win a pretty solid amount of games, and it's going to be extremely boring. And I have them at 83 wins. I could totally justify numbers below that.
Yeah, I have him at 76. I just I just don't think it's good enough.
Yeah,
They have one of the best players. Their rotation is usually like a couple studs and then guys that we don't know about and they end up being okay. I think the whole thing is guys we don't know about and they'll end up being okay. And if
right.
you just end
That
up being okay, then you're just okay.
And that's kind of the whole reason I didn't put them in the 70s is because the last couple times I've, we've looked at their lineup before the year. It's like, oh gosh, this team is not going to be good again. And sure enough, they find a way to make the playoffs or get as close to it as possible.
Mhm.
So they kind of get the Brewers boost
Yeah,
a
they get a
little
little benefit of the doubt. I think that's fair.
bit. Yeah. Next on my list, I don't have them finishing last this year, and that is the Chicago White Sox.
Above the Twins.
I have them above the Twins
Now
because they have
this is
some
interesting.
they just have some fun pieces, and when teams kind of get all their young guys up and they're kind of just having fun together at the big league level, they tend to get a few more wins than their roster suggests. They've got Chase Meadroff, Mydroff, whatever it is, Colson Montgomery, who killed it at the end of last year. Murakami, which is an exciting signing. They signed Austin Hayes, who could be okay. Benintendi's been there for a while. He'll be okay, of course. Um, they've got guys like Shane Smith and Sean Burke who are pretty solid. They signed Sir Anthony Dominguez, who is a pretty legitimate MLB closer.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Teal is unfortunately on the IL to start the year. Same with Brooks Baldwin. But the team is fine. I have them at 69 wins. I have the Twins below them at 65. The team is only 4 wins above the Twins because they actually have some pieces that I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah, I think they do, especially Colson Montgomery. He could be like not just a good player, but a very good player. The pitching I still think is not great.
It's not
It,
great.
it's worse than the top of the Twins rotation, at least, even with Pablo Lopez still down.
Yeah,
Um, but you make a good point, and we could just shift to the Twins here and get out that the White Sox, those guys are all playing for their careers to
right.
kickstart their careers, and the Twins, it just like it's not going to be that fun, I don't think.
No.
Especially for some of these guys like Byron Buxton and Josh Bell is here. Some guys, Ryan Jeffers, that have played on better teams, and the roster around these guys is just not really going to be enough to cut it.
And the unfortunate reality with the Twins is they come into every year looking like they're going to be better than they are, and then they're worse than they should be. And, that's unfortunately a lot of the times due to injury, but, Royce Lewis hasn't been able to stay on the field, and neither is Byron Buxton. And so you got guys that really, if they can play 162, this team will definitely be better than 65 wins. But I can't fully believe in that until I see it.
Yeah, I don't believe in them really to put something together. They do not get any benefit of the doubt like Cleveland does or like a Milwaukee would perhaps.
Yeah.
Moving on to the AL West.
Yes.
This might be the first year in a long time, or I guess since the Astros were really good, but it might be the first year in a few years that the top seed in the AL West, at least preseason, is almost unanimous.
Yeah. I have the Mariners there.
Yeah, Seattle's great.
Seattle is awesome. I only have them 1 win above the Astros. I'm a little bit higher in the Astros than I think I should, but I have them at 90 wins, the Mariners, that being. Um, Added Brendan Donovan, which is a pretty huge ad for them. They got the vast majority of their guys back, and the rotation is, of course, just disgusting. Um, and the bullpen's great too, and they play in that super pitcher-friendly park, and they're not going to give up any runs ever.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a let's run it back, but hey, we brought in Brendan Donovan and we're re-signing all of our guys and we're calling up some young studs like Cole Young and Canzone was hitting the ball hard last year. So they could be really, really good this year.
I've got them at 93, mostly because number one seed in the AL, mostly because the pitching is tremendous.
So good.
It's the best rotation in baseball, especially at the top end when they're healthy. Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, George Kirby as the top four, you just never get a break. And like you said with the Donovan addition, the top of the lineup is more solidified than it has been in the past few years. You don't really have question marks. You're going to do some platoon stuff, but they have Rob Refsnyder, who's the best platooner of all time. Um, and you've got, in a perfect world, two MVP candidates, and for different reasons. And that is a dynamic way that their offense can impact games in ways that they haven't before. And with Brendan Donovan on base more than whoever else would hit leadoff, and Naylor and Arozarena behind the two studs, I think this is their best chance that we've seen for the whole thing to come together and for them to be really, really good.
Totally. Next,
I
I
have
have
the,
the
I have
Astros.
the
Oh,
Astros in
keep
second
going.
as well.
I have them at 89. I think that may be a win or two too much now that I'm kind of rethinking about it. But I just like this. group that they have. I love the top of their rotation with Hunter Brown. I think Tetsuya Amai is going to be super good. Christian Javier is good. Their bullpen's always good. They are
Always good.
always well coached. Um, and then they've got the gang back again with Altuve and Correa, and they've got Jordan and Paredes, and these guys have, and Cam Smith is a young stud, and Christian Walker is always good. These guys are all proven at this level,
Mhm.
outside of maybe Cam Smith, but they do have some question marks in the lineup. But I think those guys tend to play better defense, and because of that, I didn't really take too much thought into that. Um, I probably could have took them a win or two down, but the Astros, again, just seem to find a way to have more wins than they should on paper. And for that reason, I have them at 89.
The biggest question mark is really availability. That's that's it, I think. Like, is Christian Javier going to be healthy? He's had some trouble with that. Or how many games is Jordan going to play? How many games is Carlos Correa going to play? I think that's the only question because they've got a lineup full of big leaguers that post up and do their job and produce. And if they don't have to scramble for weird looking lineups in the middle of the season and their guys are in there, they're going to be in the playoffs.
Totally.
And I think it's that simple.
Yep.
The Rangers, who I'm assuming you have in third,
Yep.
um, is not that simple. I mean, they look pretty good. The start of their rotation is Evaldi and DeGrom, two fantastic pitchers, but two old pitchers. The rest of the pitching staff as a whole is questionable. The lineup is, if you're comparing them and the Astros, the lineup is not as good. If you're comparing them and Oakland, the lineup is maybe not as good, which is something
Yeah.
we'll get into. They have Wyatt Langford, who I think could take a jump to be a 5 or 6 win player. Corey Seager is that when he's healthy. And around that, though, it just looks like it's going to be a supporting cast that comes up short.
Yeah, I just don't love where a lot of these players are in their career. Nemo is declining year by year, and defensively, he is nearing a liability out there. And that's the whole reason the Mets traded him was to get a guy like Semien, who is a reliable defender and a somewhat reliable hitter. And Wyatt Langford, again, is an awesome piece. He is going to be super, super, super good. But again, Jock Peterson has been on the decline. Corey Seager's defense has been on the decline. Jake Berger was not as good last year. And it doesn't help that these guys play in a super pitcher friendly ballpark. They have a great rotation, which will help in that ballpark, but the bullpen is terrible.
It's not good.
Um, so I have him at 83.
I have him
Um,
82.
could have had him lower. Yeah.
Maybe have him higher. I don't love their ceiling, though.
Yeah. I don't really love it either.
So the Athletics, fourth place here in this division, which they've been stuck in purgatory here for a while, but they have a great lineup. They have a
They have a
young,
great lineup.
fun, exciting lineup with dudes that have juice.
Yeah.
Nick Kurtz,
They
Shea
they
Langeliers,
make an argument for a top 10 lineup in baseball, which is
Tyler
crazy to
Soderstrom,
say.
and Brent Rooker. You could have four guys hit 30 home runs. They could
Absolutely.
all get to 30.
It's very
The
possible.
the rest of the lineup, we kind of have to see how it goes. Lawrence Butler had a down year last year. The young infield, Jacob Wilson, Max Muncy, I bet they have a couple other options that they could use there. Oh, Jeff McNeil is on this team.
Yeah.
He's not great, but
You'll
they're in
sell
a
it.
they're in a hitter-friendly park in the minor league park in Sacramento, which is bad for their pitchers because their pitchers are really bad, which is
Yep.
back and forth. I think it'd be a fun team to tune into on the West Coast time slot because the top of the lineup's going to come up and they're going to hit that ball hard.
They sure are. Now that I re-look at this pitching,
It's the worst in the whole league.
I think My win projection for them is a little high. I probably could have given a couple more wins to the Mariners or to the Royals or to the Yankees or Red Sox. I had them at 80. I think I would probably correct that down to 78 or 79 because of the pitching staff and the ballpark.
I'm at 77.
Yeah.
It looks like they have the worst rotation in the big leagues. We'll see. There's another team kind of close to Sacramento that we'll see, but it looks like it might be the worst.
Yeah. Next, Angels. Angels are bad. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Angels fans. You guys are always bad.
Zach Neto's good.
Zach Neto's good. Mike Trout is good when he's on the field. That's kind of it. Moncada and Shane Well can hit the ball. So can Joe Adele. Ohapi
Those
is
guys
good
all
when he's on the
strike out a
field.
lot.
Yeah, but this team's going to strike out a lot. The pitching is not
So
great. Reed
much.
Detmers looked way better to finish off last year. So hopefully he keeps that up. But the bullpen outside of Kirby Yates looks to be possibly the worst in baseball. Anthony Rendon just retired. Not that that matters. Um, yeah, not good.
They're
Not.
gonna strike out so much.
I have him at 69 wins.
I have them at 72. I don't really know why. I mean, they have Mike Trout. Either
Yeah.
way, it's not great. The offense just it's not really like a run production offense. And the pitching staff is not really a run prevention pitching staff, which means they're gonna lose a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to
Um,
spend any more time with those guys.
and at least.
And at least another very exciting division.
Yep. Another division that I could have given more wins now that I kind of look at it. I have the Phillies in first with 90.
I have the Mets in first.
Which one do you want to go to?
Let's go to the Phillies because I know you know the Mets pretty well, so we could just do the
Yeah.
Phillies quickly. It's mostly the same team here when you're looking at the
Yeah.
Phillies. They have
Totally.
they added Adolis Garcia to the outfield, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
Usual suspects: Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Alec Boehm, JT Realmuto is back. Plus rookies Justin Crawford and rookie pitcher Andrew Painter. That's where this could get exciting, is because if those guys are as advertised, then the aging 30-year-old Phillies, are they done? Start to become, oh, the Phillies have some life back. They could be the best team in baseball.
Absolutely. I honestly have no notes. You pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The only concern is replacing Ranger Suarez, but again, Andrew Painter is set to fill that role. So if he can,
And
they'll be exceeding 90 wins, which is
they,
what I have them at.
they paid Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo, who they both feel good about. Zach Wheeler's coming back from injury. It's almost like they're fine with letting Ranger Suarez walk, and with Painter, they can pick up where they left off.
Absolutely.
And it's very possible that that's how it goes.
Yep.
Now we can go into the Mets.
So the Mets, I've been kind of thinking about this team a lot. I have them at 89 wins. And I don't know how to feel about this team only because of the final result of last year's team. Because when you kind of just look at this team, it looks super good through and through, besides like the back end of the bullpen, which is like meh, it's a good team. They made a great trade to get Freddie Peralta. I think that was by far the best offseason move, especially because they snuck in Tobias Myers, who has been awesome this spring. And when you look at this lineup, it is great. On paper, it is great, but something is just holding me back because of last year's final result. I think Brett Beatty can take another step forward, and we're going to see some outfield reps from him this year. But there are a lot of X factors on this team, I feel like. Can Luis Robert be the guy that we want him to be? Can Marcus Semien get back to even close to his Blue Jay form? Can Carson Bench really be that prospect that he's supposed to be? And then can the pitching stay healthy? There's a lot of question marks there. And even if the ones that don't go well don't happen, can the guys who fill those roles step up? Like Vientos is a huge X factor. If Jorge Polanco goes down, can he play first base and get back to the form that he was at? So I think it kind of hit me the other day how good this team actually is. But again, a lot of these guys have never played together before,
Mm.
and it's kind of an odd grouping. So, yeah,
I'm thinking about the Mets. I'm thinking about swapping them in the Phillies for the sole reason that the Mets need to rely on people to kind of get some of themselves back. Like you
yeah,
said, Robert, Semien, even shades of what we've seen Mark Vientos be. Kodai Senga, who's dealt with home run problems and health problems. And Freddie Peralta's dealt with home run problems as well, but that's neither here nor there.
yeah,
He's a stud. Um, they have two of the most value producing players on the planet on their team,
yeah.
Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto. Again, like I said with the Mariners, for different reasons. It's really cool when you can do that, and it gives them a significant advantage. I think if these two teams are playing in a playoff series, it's more likely that the Phillies use their experience and the Mets kind of get shut down a little bit, especially towards the end of the rotation and the end of the lineup. But this team is well constructed with good defense up the middle of the field, enough hitting, and enough pitching. Fingers crossed it stays healthy. Because if it doesn't, then that's when this season gets shaky, like what happened last year.
The thing that is making me optimistic about the pitching is just what we've seen in the spring. I know McLean wasn't flawless in the WBC, but he went head to head with two of the best lineups that were in that tournament. And outside of two pretty bad pitches against Italy, he was extremely electric. And he went into the fifth inning against in the WBC final, which DeRosa said afterwards was not expected at all because he was just super, super efficient. And of course, he was amazing last year in the pros. Holmes has looked great in the spring. He looked awesome in the WBC, and Kodai Senga is back up to 99. Now, can they just sustain it for a full season is the big question.
Yeah, I think you're right. In the NL East, that has been a three-horse race for a couple years, is now a race between two fast horses and one horse that only has three legs. Because the Braves just have a lot of guys that are hurt, and they had a lot of guys that were hurt last year, and it hasn't quite gotten better. It's a good team, but it's not on the same level as the Phillies or the Mets.
Yeah, absolutely. I made this win total before the Jurickson Profar suspension because I was honestly kind of scared of his presence in the lineup. I thought he kind of was the balancing factor
Yeah, he's a good
between
player.
the the studs at the top of the lineup and the guys who are almost platoon worthy at the bottom of the lineup. He probably would have slid into that five hole for them and really balanced out the lineup. And now they have Dominic Smith DHing,
Uh,
which is not great. And they have Mauricio Dubon playing shortstop
mhm.
because Ha-Seong Kim had hand surgery. So the big uh-oh for this team is that pitching IL, and it is deep. Daysbel Hernandez is out right now. Joe Jimenez is out right now. And then, of course, the starters, Schwellenbach, Smith-Shawver, Strider, Waldrop, all on the IL to start the year, leaving them with a rotation that has Grant Holmes, Bryce Elder, and Jose Suarez in it.
Yeah,
So
it's not gonna cut it.
it's not going to cut it at all. I had them. Again, I made this list a couple weeks ago, so it's a little overinflated. I had them at 86. I think based off what we're seeing with their current roster, they're probably closer to 83,
I have 83.
but um they they could be good enough to get to 86, but probably not with
Yeah.
all that happening.
Yeah, I mean they need their pitchers to get back, like you said. Ronald Acuna, when he's playing a full season, can be an MVP. And they have solid players in the rest of their lineup. Drake Baldwin was the rookie of the year last year, one of the better offensive catchers. We know what Matt Olson is. Thankfully, he's going to be the same player every year, and it's going to be awesome. Austin Riley is on decline watch. and Ozzy Albies has we have watched him decline. Um, Austin Riley might be the X factor of if this is a mid team or a good team. If he can get back to his production, then the offense is still pretty solid. And Michael Harris, if he can be a league average hitter, then he's also going to be one of the more valuable guys in baseball.
Yep.
But as it stands now, and we don't have to broken record it with the Braves, but it's not a full boat of guys that they want to be bringing into this season. And if it can be, then they can give themselves a chance later on.
Yep. Marlins and Nationals, we don't have to spend too much time on. I think the Marlins will be better than
Marlins
people
fourth though.
give them credit for. Yeah,
Mhm.
Marlins definitely fourth. I actually have them at 78 wins just because it's the same scrappy group from last year, and then you add Owen Casey, who is a superb hitter, and they just have a ton of young guys who are, trying to make names for themselves
Mhm.
in this league. And their bullpen is actually pretty solid. It's not bad at all. It's not awesome, but it's probably around league average,
Mhm.
maybe a little below. But the rotation isn't great.
Two guys at the top that have been elite.
There are two guys at the top that have been elite at some point in their career. Sandy hasn't really been as awesome in recent years, even though he has the stuff to do so. But Max Meyer, Chris Paddock, Jansen Junk, none of those guys
Yeah.
get me going.
It's
So,
also unfortunate that Kyle Stowers is going to start on the IL. I think we
oh, I
just
didn't
found
even
that
see
out.
that.
We just found that out yesterday or something.
Oh, that really stinks for my
So
fantasy baseball team. Well,
it's only a couple weeks, I think, but it
yeah,
it hurts because he was their best player. But they have Jacob Marcy, who's a solid outfielder. I like Agustin Ramirez. He hits the ball pretty hard. He's not really the defensive catcher you want, but it's the Marlins. We're not going to be really playing for much. So if they have some guys that are good at some guys that are good at stuff,
yeah, yeah,
then they'll be better than the Nationals.
they sure will.
That's what I think.
They sure will.
The
Well,
Nationals are bad.
Nationals are really bad. Bad at defense, bad at
This
offense.
this might be the worst bullpen.
And oh dear God, there's no way there's a worse bullpen.
This is the worst bullpen.
Um,
James Wood, you're good.
yeah,
CJ Abrams, you want to be good. I don't think
have him at 65, tied
I
for the
think
second lowest amount of wins in the league.
66.
Not good.
Yeah.
NL Central,
NL Central. Interesting at the
Cubs.
top here. I think the Cubs are too good to be preseason number two.
Yes.
Their lineup is pretty sick, actually.
Their lineup is super awesome. Say Suzuki just went down, not great, but they
Just a
replaced
couple
him with
weeks.
Ordo, who will be fine. Um, they have tons of good defenders and they have tons of good hitters. And you kind of mentioned how you can bring value in two different ways a couple of times already. And, they may not have MVP candidates in that way, but they have guys who can bring value with all sorts of different weapons. They've got PCA, who, yeah, wasn't the greatest hitter at the end of last year, but he is a A++ defender in center field, which is super valuable. Kind of the same thing goes for Dansby Swanson, even though he was a slightly underrated hitter last year. And then Nico Horner, we know who he is. The big add for this team is the rotation got better. They got Edward Cabrera, who is super, super sick. And they still have Imanaga and Cade Horton, who was a Rookie of the Year candidate last year, and Matthew Boyd and Jameson Taillon is an awesome five. And then this bullpen just got a little better. They added Phil Maton, who has actually been pretty good, surprisingly. And Daniel Palencia was sick in the WBC.
Wow, it was awesome.
So I have him at 89. I think the pitching is better, but it's still not the greatest. It's
Mhm.
above league average, though, of course. But the lineup is just great.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have him at 88. Can't really elaborate on anything you just said more or better. I would want to see them trade for an ace in the middle of the season. I don't know if anyone's going to make it possible, but like
Yeah.
if they could trade for Joe Ryan or something like that, or maybe they could trade for, I don't know, who else could they trade for? I don't know, maybe like one of the Orioles guys is good and they want to trade him away. Like they need a stud pitcher if they want to make a playoff run, I feel like
Hmm.
they're really good. And especially set up for the regular season, they're set up to do great.
Yep.
And the Milwaukee Brewers behind them are
Yep.
always set up to do okay in the regular season, and they always do awesome.
Yep. And this lineup, honestly, again, we kind of touched on this with the Guardians. They don't look that awesome, but we know they're going to be. I have them at 86 wins. They're on paper probably an 83 win team
Mhm.
because they have some pretty mediocre guys in that lineup who will find ways to be good. Um, the pitching got a little bit better. They got Kyle Harrison and Brandon Sproat, who could be super good if they fulfill their potential. But if they don't, they could be super bad. And then the bullpen is just always gross.
I don't like the rotation that much, especially because Freddie Peralta's gone. Jacob Mizorowski's going to have a lot of pressure on him. He's got great stuff, but he's going to have a lot of pressure. The bullpen is sick, like you said.
Yeah.
And the lineup, the defense is great. The hitterish ability is always going to be enough for them. And
Yeah.
they have a good top of the order. Yelich can swing it. He's injury dependent, but he can swing it. He'll be more of a DH. William Contreras is the second best catcher in baseball as of on this day. He could end this season back at number one.
Yeah.
If his and Cal Raleigh's hitting are similar. And then Jackson Chourio is a great young player. Bryce Terang's a great young player. Those guys
Yep.
produce value. They help you win. So the Brewers, it's more a toss-up how it's going to play out. Their roster's not as good as the Cubs, but they're both going to be in or knocking on the door of a playoff spot all year.
Absolutely. Next, I have the Reds,
I have the Reds too.
who are in a pretty similar position they were in last year
Hmm.
at this time, where the lineup looks like it could do enough to make the playoffs, but it's not, it doesn't feel like enough, especially because this bullpen is not
Not
great. Um, Obviously they had the same great pieces they had last year, but they add Sal Stewart and Eugenio Suarez, which are some needed juice guys for a team that does not hit a lot of home runs.
good.
Um, they still got awesome defenders with Brian Hayes. Ellie plays great defense for the vast majority of the time. He makes a lot of errors, but he makes a lot of insane plays as well. And then they've got their typical pieces. I have them at 83, but they could be 86. They also could be 76. It's kind of hard to tell, but the rotation's pretty cool.
Yeah, the rotation's cool. It would be cooler if Hunter Green didn't get hurt
Yeah.
because they would have kind of like a Mariners-esque young, exciting rotation, kind of similar to what the Braves had a few years ago. It's still pretty good. Andrew Abbott and Nick Lodolo are good. Brady Singer's kind of the old man in the room, and Chase Burns is obviously super exciting. Like you
Yep.
said, the juice is helpful. The defense is pretty good around the field mostly. Really good with Brian Hayes, especially. I just I think it's a 500 looking team. They're good in some spots, they come up short in some spots, and that's just how it's gonna go.
Yeah. It's really just going to come down to, can they finish games? Can that bullpen hold off teams enough to where they can
Yeah,
finish games? It's
yeah,
really looking like the answer is going to be no,
yeah,
but
unfortunately.
yeah, they could do it. There is a way for sure. Um, this year the Pirates don't finish last.
Yes, I'd like to applaud the Pirates a little bit for getting some guys that can hit the baseball.
Yeah.
They didn't really get guys that can field the baseball,
No.
but they got Brandon Lau and they got Marcelo Zuna and Ryan O'Hearn, and everyone else was still here,
Yeah.
but they have extra base hit threats more than they have. Their defense is not great. The continuity of the lineup is not awesome. These guys strike out a lot, but they have Paul Skeens, and Paul Skeens is the truth. But
Yep.
one player in the big leagues is not enough to help you out. So he's going to be great, and the rest of the team is going to be maybe more mid than bad, but still pretty bad. I have them at 76 and 86.
Yeah, I have him at 79. I think Bubba Chandler could be a nice X factor for them. He's super good. Jared Jones should come back this year. Um, and he will be good for them. Actually, he'll definitely come back this year, but his timeline is kind of questionable. I'm not really certain on it.
Mhm.
Um, but they could be really good, or not really good. They could be good enough to be a competent team that can beat some other good teams.
I'm worried this ends up with getting just guys getting traded in the middle of the season because it's the right organizational thing to do, but then they get
Yeah.
stuck in this cycle.
Yeah, that's very true. Is this team could turn from a 79 win team into a 68 win team with a ton of off-season moves,
Mhm.
which would be good for them. But next, I have the Cardinals, obviously.
Yeah, they're in a reset period right now, and
Yeah.
they just look like they're not going to be able to compete in any aspect of the game, really.
They've got some guys who can kind of swing it and play defense. Uh, JJ Weatherholt will be an exciting new addition. The problem is the pitching's terrible through and through. The
Yeah,
rotation especially is bad. The bullpen is not great either.
but
Just not
it's not good. You can be excited for JJ Weatherholt. Mason Wynn's a good guy to have on your team because of the defense. He's kind of like light-skinned Dansby Swanson, where he's not going to hit the ball very hard, but he'll play great defense. Um, like you said, the rotation, not enough. They have good pitching prospects, but they're kind of guys that are still either dealing with injuries or a year away. Ivan Herrera can hit
Yep.
just about better than anyone on this team. Burleson he's not who you want hitting third,
No.
but this is still a work in progress here, and they have Heim Bloom. They have guys coming up that maybe in the midseason you have guys coming up that you get excited about, but the moral of the story is this is going to be a reset year where they can kind of look at their young guys and see who they want to have moving forward.
Yep. 67 wins for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I got them at 70, 71, 71, but it can be anywhere in that range really.
Yeah.
Wrap things up
Last but
here.
certainly not least, we have the
Yes.
NL West, which will obviously start with the Dodgers, who I have at 103 wins.
There you go. I have them at 98. I didn't go that ballsy with anyone, but the idea is there for sure.
It's just such a ridiculous lineup. Um, this is kind of like a silly comparison or a silly way to think about it, but I was playing in MLB The Show and I played against the Dodgers in like one of those like moment things. And when I saw Kyle Tucker hitting in the 5 hole, I was kind of just a little bit baffled
It
at
could be
how
how it
absurd
goes.
that is. Um, and then you have to pitch to Max Muncy and Teoscar Hernandez after that. It is just such a ridiculously stacked lineup when you already have the best player in baseball in it. And not to mention that same best player is their, as it's listed on Fangraphs, their fifth pitcher, who is more than likely their third or fourth. And, Blake Snell's down to start the year. That stinks, but their rotation is still a top
Yeah,
five one in
it is.
baseball. So,
And Emmett Sheehan's honestly one of the most projected like boom candidates
right.
for
Yeah.
this season. And Roki Sasaki, we obviously know what people think he can be. The bullpen is sick every year. It's half guys that we know are studs and half guys we've never heard of that turn into being just as good. They acquired Edwin Diaz. I know it hurts in Mets country that they did, but they went out and they paid one of the best closers in baseball, and now they have him. And that was
Yep.
really their only weakness last year was one guy to pitch the ninth inning rather than a committee, and their committee can do the rest of it, and their starting pitching will get them there. This is the best team in baseball.
Yeah, it's they're literally the only thing that can stop this team is the injury bug.
Hmm. And it would have to be a big bug too.
Seriously. So the Dodgers are far, far, far and away the NL favorites
Hmm.
and pretty far and away the World Series favorites too.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, Next I have the Padres,
Me too.
who kind of unfortunately I have at 84 wins.
I have them at 85.
Um, just not that great,
No.
really. Like kind of the same, kind of aging a little bit, and lost some guys that they needed to keep. And, no Dylan Cease in that rotation, and his replacement is Herman Marquez or Walker Buehler. And they they've got a lot of guys that are hurt right now, and their bullpen is gross. That is
Really good.
an absolute fact. The top four in their order is also great. After that, lots of question marks.
Yeah. They might be out of games though before they can get to this sick bullpen if this is what their rotation's going to be.
Yeah,
Nick Pivetta and Michael King are great pitchers, but you want that to be your 2-3 or 3-4, not your 1-2.
right. Absolutely.
And Hugh Darvish just decided to retire. Herman Marquez and Walker Buehler are well behind the best versions of themselves, like you were saying. The lineup has good players. Fernando Tatis is a stud. Jackson Merrill and Manny Machado are very good, both in their own right still, especially all those three guys defensively. But everything else is kind of average. And when you're talking about making the playoffs in an NL where getting to six teams is competitive, kind of average probably is not going to cut it. What is Xander Bogaerts like now? What is Jake Cronenworth like now in their 30s and playing in the middle of the field and not hitting the ball as hard as they used to? And the corner outfield, are those guys hitting? And even if they are hitting, how's the defense or left field rather? Because Tatis is going to be fine. The bullpen is great, but it's a weird strength to have if the rest of your team can't set it up.
Yeah,
They could be in the play, they could be a playoff team still, I think, but
it could.
they
I
don't
have
have
them
to
out
be.
of the playoffs, but they could be in there.
Yeah. I think third and fourth is interesting here, actually.
It is. I have Arizona edging out uh San Francisco.
I have it flipped, but it's okay. They're both close.
It's only because of the offense.
Yeah.
It's really just hard to pick against Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, and Geraldo Perdomo, who also all play good defense.
Hmm.
Um, the pitching is bad. The pitching is terrible.
Yeah.
Um, the rotation can be fine. The bullpen can't be fine. Um, but the offense, I think, is exciting enough to get them far enough. They also have guys on the IL, and some of them should come back.
Yeah. Corbin
Burns,
Burns will be back soonish,
whatnot.
actually. Well,
Yeah, Burns
I
could
don't
be
know.
back by the end of the year,
Yeah, at some point this year.
probably around August.
Yeah, I don't love the pitching, like you said. It's worse than the Giants, which we'll see soon by a little bit. The top three in the lineup could all be 5-win players this year. Almost certainly they'll all be 4-win players this year. The juice behind it, like we were saying with the Padres, is shaking out to be average, maybe even below that. I'm rooting for Jordan Lawler, just have it be known as a center fielder, high draft pick. But the value production from Carroll and Marte and Perdomo is the best, maybe, for a top three
Yeah,
in terms of guys that don't have a ton of juice, but just play really great baseball. It's it's really awesome. And the Giants have a core that's a little different. They're not as fast, but they're still good defense and they hit the ball pretty well and pretty hard with Matt Chapman and Willie Adames and Rafi Devers. I think their supporting cast around their best three hitters has the chance to be better than Arizona's, which is why I took them as well as the pitching. And Logan Webb is probably one of the five best pitchers in the big leagues still.
Yeah. The pitching is definitely better on this team than it is on the Diamondbacks. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And San Francisco, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a pretty dang pitcher-friendly park that will help these guys even more.
Yeah.
Um, the offense just gives me a ton of question marks,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and the defense, especially on the right side of the field, is super questionable. Um, but I think either way, neither of those teams get in the playoffs. Although I like some of these guys on the Giants, I think they're good fits and they're good players. I just don't really see it for them. I have the Giants at 80 wins. I have the Diamondbacks at 83. And then rounding out this division is the worst team in baseball, who I have at 47 wins because they were at 43 last year and they got better by 4 games, in my opinion.
Was it actually that bad?
It was.
I guess I should have made them way worse. I put the Rockies, I'm looking at their roster here off to the side. I put the Rockies at 60 because I was like, well, you can't say a team's going to be worse than 60. But I guess you can.
Unfortunately, you can.
Maybe
You
I'll put them
have the
at
worst
50.
bullpen in baseball in the most pitcher-friendly park, and you have
Yeah. Well,
probably like the
the
third
rotation is
worst
bad
rotation.
too. This is worse than whoever I said was the worst. Oakland, or not Oakland, Sacramento. This is worse than that.
Yeah.
They have Willie Castro, solid baseball player.
Yes, Willie
Uh,
Castro can do it.
Hunter
Charlie
Goodman can
Condon
hit.
will be up, and he will be crushing baseballs in Coors Field by the end of
Yeah.
the year. Um, Hunter Goodman, fine, sure, yeah.
No, the
Brent
Rockies are the
Martineau
worst.
can do
That's
it. What?
the Rockies are the worst.
Yeah, they're just bad. They're super, super bad. And it kind of stinks because their prospect capital is not great either. But maybe one or two of these guys will have a breakout year. They'll trade them and they'll get some more prospects and they'll be on the upswing in the future. But for now,
So
they're pretty down there.
yeah,
So, whew,
that's a, that's a sad way to end it off.
it sure is.
But we have 30 teams, and for most of them, it's gonna be a fun race.
Yeah, totally.
And with that, maybe we'll get a graphic up or something before opening day to like show our picks. That might be something good that
Yeah,
we could work on. But those were our breakdowns, basically a quick thing of every big league team. And starting Wednesday and Thursday, you'll get to see them all in action. And I know I'm excited for this season to get going and for us to talk more ball. And I think everyone really should be.
yeah, absolutely. Super
Well,
excited.
thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.
Peace.